guess it's time to grow up. That's what I thought I'd start with. So for anyone curious or anyone who might be wondering, yeah, we're gonna grow up here. This is got it labeled broccoli. They're both broccoli. Let me turn this one around. These little stickers help. Just some masking tape, Sharpie. There, and they both say it. Broccoli microgreens, and they are ready to harvest. And so, to anyone who might be wondering how this is done, I'm going to go ahead and make a video and walk through it. This is how you do it. So, we've got our, and this is a homemade fit wash. I did a video on that earlier, but it's basically, 1 part acid and then 3 parts water. And then we're going to go ahead and even more water. But this isn't an exact science. I mean, I don't know why there would be anything wrong with, but it's just, I don't know, it's like pixie dust, honestly, in my opinion, but I do it anyway. So I just take some of this. Yeah, by acid, I mean, citric acid, vinegar, that kind of thing, lemon juice and vinegar, and then the rest of the way with water. But to be honest, mostly what I'm doing here, let me see if I can kind of zoom in to that little brown spot. That's the little seed pod that didn't, it'll focus. You can see those little brown spots all over. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Those are them little seed pods. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but we can maybe wash them off of there. And just give it a rinse and everything like that. Okay, we get our sink full of clean water. And then what I also want to do, I want to weigh out how much we've got. So we don't have to hear that. I want to weigh how much we've got too. So this is the container it's all going to go in. And we'll zero that. 9.9, 9.9. So that first one is pounds. And then the last two is ounces. You can see pounds, ounces. So the first 0 is pounds, 9.9 ounces. That's the container. So we'll just try to remember that. And then we'll go ahead and get going on this. Start harvesting. So this is closer to sprouts because I don't have, there's no soil in there. It's just paper towel. So it's really more like sprouts. The reason I don't have soil is because it's, well, I mean, yeah, okay, I go through the process of washing it, but a lot of times that dirt just kind of clings. I've noticed. Sometimes there's wood chips. So I'm just like, if I do a paper towel, it's a lot easier to clean it. It's a lot easier to keep it that way. It's just a lot nicer for me. Sprouts are fine. I'm going to try to set this up somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know where I'm going to set this. You can tell my camera skills suck. I'm trying to anyway. Maybe I could set it like right here. You can kind of see what's going on, maybe. Not that this is a particularly exciting or interesting, but I mean, you just get some good shears. These are some good shears. Start cutting. Make sure you're not getting the paper towel. Get a clump. Toss it in the water. And it smells like broccoli. I like the broccoli one. This smells really good. I know some people have a hard time digesting anything in the. I'm gonna try to throw a. Let's see. So it's all in the same family. It'd be broccoli and cauliflower would be in the same family. Brassicaceae. It's a brassica. Polish your brassica, right? No, but where they come up with these names? Brassicaceae, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi. All of those, it's very common for people who, without insulting anyone, it's not really what I'm trying to do. It's more about educate. But some people, they do have a hard time. The higher fiber, they'll blame it on the fiber, and that's maybe part of it. But every family of vegetable or fruit or even meat, most people don't have trouble digesting meat, and so that's why maybe they're pushing for everybody to eat more of it, and that's probably fine. Don't overdo it. Like anything, don't overdo it. But you're gonna have a hard time getting a lot of your vitamins and minerals. Where in the heck are you gonna get fiber? Your immune system runs on fiber, runs on a lot of things, to be honest. You need to get a good varied diet. But whenever okay, so let me go back to what the heck I was trying to say is that every plant species requires a certain enzyme or like probiotic. There's usually like on grapes, there's maybe that's a good place to point to because everybody knows that if you add yeast to grapes, it'll break down and make alcohol, right? You can ferment it. You can also break it down and make vinegar, like a balsamic vinaigrette. Um, but it's those enzymes, it's those yeasts, it's those probiotics, it's the little stuff. Just because something's small and you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, right? But so Brassicaceae is one that people typically have a hard time digesting, especially if they've been on a high carb, low fiber diet, or their diet maybe isn't as varied as it should be. And Brassicaceae is one of those that it's rich in fiber, it's rich in vitamins, but in order to access that, you got to have the right stuff going on in your microbiome, in your gut, in your digestive tract. And if you don't have that, it'll kick your butt. I think I said that right. But the the good news is that basically the more of it that you eat, um, going back to grapes, it's like you don't actually have to add yeast to grapes or apples or anything like that because there's typically a naturally occurring yeast on the skin of that fruit that helps you to break it down and digest it. It's the same thing with Brassicaceae. So the more of it that you eat, and the more of those beneficial microbes and yeasts and probiotics and things, you'll build that naturally over time simply by eating it. So the answer is basically kind of like a lot of things. It's like just start with a small amount and build up. A lot of times cooking it, steaming it, that helps. And just to point out that microgreens, it's actually, or sprouts, are a lot easier to digest. It's lower in the, they're going to point this out probably. I'm going to point it out. I think they're called like anti-nutrients and things like that. Which kind of a fun thing to talk about, really, because if you're talking about wild plants and edibles, foraging, which is something I think people could learn more about to vary their diet, foraging. See, maybe like Les Stroud, Survivor Man, he's always out in the wilderness finding, certain things are edible, certain things are not, trying to point that out like, hey, this is delicious, this is good for you, this is in a survival situation. Not trying to make it seem like a catastrophe, like we're in a survival situation. Every day is a survival situation if you don't got anything to eat. But yeah, they'll point stuff out. They'll be like, hey, certain, and they should, certain foods that these wild edible. It's like, well, you got to cook it first to get rid of the anti-nutrients. You can cook it. Sometimes they'll tell you to boil it and then drain off the water, and then boil it again to get rid of the anti-nutrients or maybe the oxalates or whatever the case may be. There's a way of cooking it, so that way you can get your vitamins and your fiber and your nutrients from your food. It's kind of funny because it's like plants don't typically like to be eaten. They don't typically like to be eaten. And so they do have, like anything else, they've adapted, they've evolved over time to sort of maybe disincentivize being eaten, like a rose that's got thorns doesn't want to be eaten, it just wants to grow and spread its seed around. And a lot of plants are the same way. They just want to grow and spread their seed around. Now, fruits are interesting because typically, like a strawberry, you think of a green strawberry, it tastes terrible, it's bitter. But when the seeds are mature, it starts to get really sweet. And it's because that's when it wants to be eaten. So that way, like a bird or a mammal will come along and eat it and then spread the seed, usually with a little fertilizer, and help the seedling grow. When the time comes, when it's ripe, when the seeds are ready, when the seeds are mature. All right, so that's one tray. So yeah, there's different resources that people could look at, and if they're not sure, well, then maybe you just find a chef or somebody that can. I did leave an awful lot of that behind, but what I might do, it's peeling up rather well. What I might do is as long as the paper towel stays put, I might kind of peel this up and see if my chickens want it. See, there's the paper towel ripping at the seam, but camera's in the wrong. But yeah, now you can. It's peeling up, so I don't know. I might I'll compost this part, so it's not like it's gonna go to waste, or maybe I'll see if my chickens want it as a treat. They might. They might not. They might ignore it. Whatever. They might just compost in the chicken yard or the chicken tractor. So there's one. I'll try to harvest a little bit more of it, but that's why it's good to have a good pair of scissors. But yeah, Brassicaceae, it's one that maybe is a little bit harder to digest at first, but you can take care of that easily by cooking it, steaming it gently, or sautéing it. This goes really good sautéed with a little butter next to a big old steak or a piece of chicken or something, It's really good. But yeah, when you're getting sprouts or microgreens, usually it's lower in those anti-nutrients. So again, easier to digest. And they got these nice crunchy stems. You know, a little bit of that crunchiness that I understand not everybody does. Some people it's an acquired taste maybe. Some people maybe never, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not here to convince everybody. If it's not for you, it's not for you. That's fine. Different strokes for different folks, but some people might get a good benefit from this. I have heard from certain sources. Um, so do your own research on this. But broccoli, microgreens, or anything in again that Brassicaceae family, but particularly broccoli, is high in sulforaphane, which is a natural compound that basically fights cancer. And the microgreens or the sprouts have a lot more. Maybe you could Google that or whatever if you're curious. Do your own research. Please don't sit there and start smoking cigarettes and drinking hooch and eating junk food and thinking that you can make up for it by eating microgreens. It's not exactly what I'm saying. Don't take this out of context, please. But it's high in sulforaphane. It's got a lot of vitamins, definitely good fiber, and I just think it tastes amazing. It's got a nice, good taste. Really good in salad. Really good with your meat. If you like a piece of fish or a piece of steak. I'm gonna trim that little bit off there. Some of the root ball came up. I don't know that you couldn't eat that, but I'm pretty sure you could. But I'm not trying to harvest that part. I'm just trying to get the shoots, I guess you call it. The roots are kind of matted down there into the paper towel. I don't want that coming up. I'm trying to cut it off at the base so I don't get the paper towel in there. That'd be gross. Be eating this and then, tastes like paper. I could see that happening. Yeah, it smells like that smells like fresh broccoli. That smells really good. To me, it smells really good. Hopefully to you too. If you're watching this and you hate broccoli, I'm like, what are you doing? But I mean, I guess if you're just here to hate on, if you're just here to be full of hate and anger, I guess there's plenty of that in the world. Whatever. I don't really think we need any more of that. We've got plenty. That's not what I know. There's plenty of things going on right now, and I don't care for it. Everybody's fighting their battles and they've got their struggles and everything, and that's whatever. But you're still going to have to eat. And then what you choose to eat is important. You can eat a lot of Mickey D's. You can eat a lot of DiGiorno. You can drink a lot of hooch, and you can give them your money, and then they'll take that money, and then they'll reinvest it back into their business, and so those businesses are going to grow, and pretty soon you're going to see a monopoly, if we aren't already seeing that, on food. because that's what they do. That's what, I mean, that's how they became. They're businessmen, right? I mean, that's what they do. They take their money, and rather than pay taxes on their income, they reinvest it back into their business, and you end up with uh, more of the same. And I have some coffee. Pardon me while I take a little coffee break. You could invest your money elsewhere and help other people. We don't have a lot of the small businesses anymore because the big businesses suck up all the money. What are you going to do, right? There, we got that flat done. It's all in here now. So I just kind of give it a little, well, hope that's recording all right. As I do this, I mean, I don't know, I couldn't see what was going on with the camera. Excuse me. My goodness. Anyway, yeah, that's how you know I'm a human and not AI, because I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be me. Is what it is. So here's the fun part, because I want to see how much we harvested off of that, and then we still got all of that other stuff will be compost. This is the fun part, because we get to see how much broccoli microgreens we harvested off of that. And we'll try to. Again, same thing, my camera skills, if they're any good today. We'll just set that there maybe. I gotta prop it up with something about this so it don't fall over. Yeah, I know there's gonna be water weight in this. That's fine. And that's why I have this little container. It's got that little thing at the bottom that kind of lets the water drain to the bottom, and then the paper towel kind of sucks it up and holds the water off of the. But it also kind of controls the humidity in here. You ever see when you're maybe you've seen where you're at the grocery store and they got the little misters that come on. I'll try to rinse off some more of these little seed. There's little seed pods that are still stuck on there, but they don't detract from the quality of the microgreen. I don't think they do. I don't think it hurts anything. Maybe they even add a little crunch or a little pop. Whatever. We're going to see what this weighs. We're up to about 8 ounces at the moment. It's 11, almost 12 ounces. So each one of these handfuls looks to be about 4 ounces. It just works out that way. 15. Again, I don't know how much. This is a big one. Almost up to a pound. I should push this right over. Pound and a half. Now, if you've ever tried to grow a head of broccoli, you know how difficult that is. It takes skill. You got to keep the pests off it, especially those cabbage moths. You got to keep them off of it. They're a heavy feeder, and they eat, don't they? Your soil can't get too wet, can't get too dry, can't get too hot. You don't want to have too much sunlight beating down on it. Everything's got to be just right. I'll show you. That's a real close to 2 pounds. It's real close to 2 pounds. Now, I don't know. I mean, maybe I could have harvested a little closer to the... I think it's pretty good. £1 13.3 ounces, and I'll show you that's minus 9.9. 1 pound 13, well, now it's 13.2, but anyway, that 0.2 don't really mean much. 1 pound 13 ounces is what I harvested off of that. So, now because this is a longer video, and usually when I do a longer video, nobody watches. I've noticed. That's all right. What I'm thinking now, though, is I gotta go ahead and I gotta plant, and I might do that as a